saying, what would be really cool, I think, in about 20, 30 years. So a lot of studios actually hold on to a lot of material, just so that they can make, like, for example, Jurassic Park.
Mhm.
They released some new books, which I have here with new photos and everything. But I do think in about 20, 30 years, like talking about Dial of Destiny or Kingdom of Crystal Skull, especially post 2010 movies, the cell phone photos of
Mm.
directors or actors, those personal things and those videos that people make that we don't see. I think
Yeah.
that's what's going to make nostalgia in about 20, 30 years. But go on.
Oh yeah, you could. I mean, oh man, the cell phone, the director's cell phone photo, book, and this could be a digital book too.
Yeah,
Uh, is a brilliant idea. I would. I mean, oh gosh, who wouldn't love to see that? It's almost like when you get somebody auctions off a director's script, and they've got
yeah,
some of their notes in the side, or they've got little doodles. It's like that's amazing. But like to see what they thought, what did Spielberg think? Ooh, I need a picture of that. It's like I want to know what spoke to him. And it's just to understand further what he saw through that lens. And then the next time you go and watch the movie, you see it completely differently. That's amazing.
yeah.
Um, but yeah, it'll be very interesting to see what 30 years from now looks like on that stuff. I hope we're here to see it.
I hope so
um,
too. I hope
yeah,
so too.
but and now back to your original question about making a product. So generally speaking, we have uh, we have plenty of ideas. I'll try to stick, on the indie side. Star Wars is a much broader universe. There's a lot more to work with. There's a lot more props in the archives and things like that. But at the shop, I'm the owner, but I've got Rob, who's our creative director, works with me on a lot of this stuff. He also does a lot of research with me at Skywalker Ranch at the archives and things like that. And we'll go through our photos and our notes, and we'll be like, okay, what did we see at the archives? What do we know they have that we can draw from? This is on the side of like a prop replica type of thing. Our big thing with the replicas is the archive collection, where we're doing things that are either, sometimes they're cast off an original piece or out of an original mold. Most times they're 3D laser scanned off of the original pieces, resolution scans, digitally output. And then molded and cast for reproduction. Um, the Sometimes things are produced either in metal or whatever. It depends on the item. Um, the I think a good example is the Belloc staff that we released relatively recently. Maybe another one would be even the Thuggy dagger. One of the times we were at the archives, we were looking through the indie shelves and they had a handful of these Thuggy daggers out, and most of them are like soft rubber. If you know the one I'm talking about, it's kind of the arrowhead looking
Yeah, yeah,
one.
yeah, yeah.
We sold a small run of them. They're all made in the USA. They hand paint them in the studio and everything. And I think there's actually I think it's up for waitlist right now. So if anybody does want to grab one, this is the time to get on the wait list. Otherwise, those are going to be gone. But that was one of those pieces where I knew the dagger. I had seen one in someone's private collection decades ago. One of the originals from the film, and always thought it was cool. Uh, didn't really internalize how much it's in the movie though until after we saw that in the archives. We did our 3D scan of it, we brought it back, and it was always in the back of our mind like, oh, if we ever have a little lull in the indie stuff, maybe this is a good one to throw in. And when we started looking at the film to see if we could find some like reference photos, some context stuff to show people where it is, it's all over the movie. Like once they get to Pankot Palace, any of the thuggy guards have it. There's like the sash, and it just sits in the sash, and they've all got them. And then there's numerous times. There's one where they pull them out on Indy in the tunnel. There's ones where they're coming in with them on the bridge. When they're holding them, it's great though because so many of them were rubber. They have these sort of like two tines that come off the back of the thing. It's like an arrowhead with these two wings. And the guys are just grabbing them by the wings and crunching them down. It's like these are supposed to be like heavy metal daggers, and they're just. Uh, so we based ours on one of the resin models, which was one of the hero ones. I don't think any of them were actually metal for the movie. There were a few that were polyester resin, and a bunch that were just soft rubber. And the vast majority were this rubber material. So we did ours in resin. We use polyurethane, so it's got a little more flex. And um, those are the decisions you have to make. It's like, okay, well, so what are we going to make? Where is it in the movie so that we can see how people are going to maybe react to it, and maybe it's something where we educate people on what it is a little bit more. We have lines like our lines of maquettes, which are based on concept work, which is done before the movie. Sometimes you have to teach people like, hey, this is why our Bib Fortuna looks funny. It's because it was Phil Tippett's first draft. Sometimes we have to introduce them to people. We've gotten to work with, gotten a lot of people from the original crew to work on these editions with us. People like Phil Tippett, Dave Carson, Dennis Murin, John Berg, oh gosh, Chris Wayless, Jeannie Lauren, Judy Elkins, et cetera, Tony McVeigh, where these are people who were household names to me because I was obsessed with the making of the movies, but maybe aren't to everybody else. And I love introducing people to those folks. I love sharing their stories. We've got videos on the at Tom Spina Designs and at Regal Robot YouTube pages, if you don't mind a plug,
Sure.
where there's interviews that I've done with all of these guys, and they're folks that over the years have become friends and that we can call upon, and this is more of that process. We'll be working on something, and maybe there's a question that comes up. Maybe it's like, oh, there's a crack here on this thing, and it's been repaired. Was that this way originally, or was it that way? And we'll call up Phil Tippett or somebody and say like, hey, here's some pictures, here's some vintage photos, some modern photos. Which way is right? And they'll, if hopefully they remember and can give us some direction on it.